going to start today's practice lying down with the soles of the feet together. One hand can be on the belly, one hand on the heart. This pose is called Supta Baddha Konasana, and it's just an easy way to open up the hips at the beginning of this practice. Start to center in on the breath, really focusing on each inhale and each exhale. Really feeling gravity pulling at each leg, opening up the hips wider. On an inhale, bringing both knees together. Arms can go long at the sides, legs can go long. Inhale those arms up overhead for a morning stretch. So just pointing the toes, reaching up with the hands as high as possible. A few more breaths here. And on an inhale, bringing both soles of the feet to the mat. Grabbing behind the legs and rocking up to a tabletop position. So wrists stacked right under the shoulders, knees are under the hips. We're going to invert the wrists on the mat so that your fingertips are facing towards your knees. And drop through the belly, leaning back, deepening this wrist stretch. It can be pretty intense at first, but just try to breathe into that tension. The further you lean back, the more intense it'll be. Slowly walking those fingertips back towards the top of the mat, curling down on the toes. On an inhale, coming up, downward facing dog. Pushing that chest back in this first down dog, really feeling the stretch in the tops of the shoulders and the backs of the legs. Lifting the tailbone high towards the sky. Maybe pedaling through both heels to the mat one at a time. Stretching those calves. Really centering that breath. On an inhale, we're going to lift that right leg up for a three-legged down dog. On an exhale, bringing that right knee to that left tricep. So crossing over. Inhale, shoot it high. Exhale, right knee, right tricep. A little bit longer before you step that right foot to the outside of that right hand. Coming to a low open lunge. So you're going to get almost sort of a cow-cat orientation in this low lunge. So both hands are on the inside of that right foot. And on your inhales, you're going to open up through the chest, dropping through the hips. And on those exhales, you're going to curl through the back, dropping the head. Exhaling those hands back down to the mat. We're going to step our right foot back to meet our left downward facing dog. Rolling through the spine to a high plank. Exhaling down to a low plank. Dropping all the way to the mat, inhaling up for a baby cobra. Keeping the tops of the feet on the mat. Exhaling back down. Really rooting those hands right underneath those shoulders. And in one motion on an inhale, curling through the toes, lifting up, downward facing dog. On an inhale, lift that left leg high. Exhale, left knee, right tricep. Inhale, shoot it high. Exhale, left knee, left tricep. Feel those abs working. On an exhale, dropping that left foot on the outside of that left hand, coming into that cat-cow low lunge variation on this left side now. So on those inhales, dropping through the hips, inhaling the head and the chest high, and on those exhales, curling over for cat. So really feeling this in the back of that left leg, on that cat pose, that cat low lunge, and feeling it in that hip on that cow low lunge. A few more breaths right here. On an exhale, we're going to float that left leg back, downward facing dog. rolling through the spine, high plank. Exhale, low plank. Rolling over the toes for upward facing dog. Holding this first one for a little bit, really feeling that stretch in the low back before exhaling back to downward facing dog. Inhale, high on the toes. Exhale, bend the knees, step or float to the top of the mat. Grabbing both elbows with opposite hands, coming to a ragdoll pose. So we're going to hold this first forward fold for a little bit, really feeling the length through the spine and the back of the neck, so letting that head hang really heavy. Just really letting that head and those arms start to fall closer and closer to the mat with each exhale. Inhale, carving out the belly. Exhale, folding in deeper. On an exhale, dropping the hands down to the mat, rolling up one vertebrae at a time. Inhaling the hands high overhead. For exhaling, swan diving forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold in deep. Planting those hands, shooting those feet back. High to low plank. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale for downward facing dog. Inhaling that right leg high. Exhale, step that right foot through. In one motion, circle sweeping those arms back to warrior two. So really keeping a strong bend in that front right leg. We're going to hold this first one for a while, so really get used to feeling the pressure on that right quad. Feeling super strong through the arms. That left foot's going to be flat on the mat. On an inhale, we're going to invert that right hand and reverse this warrior. Reaching that hand back towards the back of the room. Letting that left hand slide down that back left leg. Exhale, circle sweeping down to a modified inside side angle. So that right elbow is going to find that right knee. Left hand's going to inhale up. On an exhale, letting it go over that left ear. And if you want to take it a little bit further, you can inhale that right hand off your knee, working that core, constantly trying to square that chest towards the side wall. We're going to reverse this warrior again, still keeping that strong bend in that front right knee. Exhaling down, planting both feet on the mat. And on an inhale, lifting that left leg up for standing splits. You don't by any means have to be able to do a full split to do this. It's still going to stretch the back of that right hamstring. On an exhale, lowering down, forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, float those feet back, high plank. Dropping down, low plank. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg high. Exhale, step that left foot through. And in one motion, circle sweep up, warrior two. Again, keeping that strong front bend and that left leg, left knee right over the left ankle. A few more breaths right here, you got it. Inhale, we're going to invert that left hand before we reverse this warrior. Each exhale should sink you deeper into this pose in both directions. So you should drop lower on that knee and reach back further with that hand with each exhale. Circle sweeping those arms around, coming to a modified inside side angle on this left side now. So left elbow finds the leg. Right arm shoots over that right ear. If you want to take it a little bit further, inhale that left arm high. Working that core, keeping that strong bend in that leg. few more breaths, you got it. On an inhale, reversing this warrior again. Keep that bend. I know that leg's probably talking to you. Circle sweeping the arms round. On an inhale, we're gonna shoot that right leg high for standing splits on this left side now. If you wanna take this further, if you feel like you're really balanced, you can always grab onto your ankle. Try to balance with just your leg. On an exhale, bringing that right leg down to meet the left. Forward fold. Inhale, root to rise all the way to stand with arms overhead. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. We're gonna walk our hands underneath our feet for a gorilla pose. If this is way too much, you can always take any modification of a forward fold that feels comfortable. Whatever modification you take, just try to come to a halfway lift in it before you fold in. So try to feel that flat spine before you try to reach the bottom of your forward fold. If you're in gorilla, you can lean forward, maybe massaging the wrists. On an exhale, we're going to release the feet, rolling up one vertebrae at a time to standing at attention. Tadasana, or tall mountain pose. On an inhale, we're going to bring both hands together as our right leg shoots up, balancing on the left leg. On an exhale, coming to warrior three on this left side. So letting that right leg shoot back. Gaze can fall to the top of the mat. Really focusing on a strong left leg, or strong right leg, shooting behind you. On an exhale, slowly dropping down to a high lunge or a crescent lunge. Inhaling the arms high. Exhaling to prayer hands at heart center. We're going to lengthen through the spine before we twist that right elbow over that left knee. There's a lot of places that you can take this pose. So if you want to take it a little bit further, you can open up through the arms. You can make kind of like a little ball between your fingers, so just pushing your fingertips together. You can take a bind if you have one in this pose. Whatever feels good, as long as you're finding the full extent to this twist that your body can take it. Exhaling those hands back to prayer at heart center. If they weren't already there, we're going to slowly step that right foot up to meet the left for a twisted crow, or for a twisted chair, So that can be a little bit balancy. Again, here you can inhale, open up through the wings. Lots of options. If you want to take this further, you can take side crow on this left side. That's going to deepen this twist because all of your weight is going to drop onto that arm, kind of forcing the twist even more. You can extend the legs. The fullest expression of this pose is just using that left elbow to hold yourself up. On an exhale, if you can in one motion, shooting the legs back to a high plank, low plank. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, high on the toes, bend the knees a lot, looking between the hands, floating to the top of the mat. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold in deep. Inhale, root to rise all the way to stand with arms overhead. Exhaling those arms down, Tadasana. In one motion on an inhale, we're going to bring the hands together as the left leg props up, so balancing on that right leg now. And we're going to shoot that left leg back for a warrior three on this right side now. Really feeling super strong through that back left leg, really active. almost getting a slight up dog feeling in that low back, and slowly on an exhale, dropping that left leg down for a crescent lunge on this right side. Exhaling the hands of prayer at heart center. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, twisting that left elbow over that right knee. If this is enough, you can stay right here. Again, you can take it further on this side, opening up through the wings, maybe making that ball with your fingertips, maybe taking that bind. I think I show the bind on this side. If you wanted to see what it looked like, give it a try. Twisting poses are really beneficial for the body. Inhaling those hands back to prayer if you're not already there. In one motion, if you can, we're going to step that left foot up to meet the right, coming to a twisted chair pose. So keeping those knees really bent. Again, you can take this chair the same places you took that twisted crescent lunge, so you can open through the wings, whatever you want to do. You can try to take this side crow on this side now. So just balancing that right upper leg on both of those elbows. There's a lot of things you can do with this. If you don't think you can do it, just try it, see what happens. Because most of the time that's when you can do it, when you think you can. So in one motion, shooting those feet back to high plank, exhaling down to low plank, inhale upward facing dog, exhale back to downward facing dog. Holding this for a few breaths. Coming to an easy seat. So heels can come to the mat. We're going to set up for boat pose. So lifting up through the legs, really opening up through that chest, keeping that neck long. If this is enough for you, you can stay right here. If you want more, you can straighten through the legs for a high boat. Few breaths right here, really feeling that core activating. On an exhale, we're going to drop down to a low boat. So letting those heels hover a little bit over the mat. Inhaling back up to that high boat before coming to an easy seat. Taking a few breaths of rest here before coming back to that low or that high boat, whatever variation is comfortable for you. A few breaths in this high boat, really feeling that core work. You got it. Hold it for a little bit longer. And in one motion on an exhale, we're going to drop down to that low boat. Keeping those heels hovering a few inches above the mat. Inhaling back up to that high boat before dropping those heels down. Planting those hands right underneath your shoulders, we're going to set up for a reverse tabletop. So chest is going to open up. Try to stay as straight as possible. So really thinking about a flat spine. Don't let your butt sink. Just really trying to open up through that chest. Exhaling, dropping the butt back down to the mat. Laying down on your back. In one motion, holding those knees into the chest. Giving yourself a big hug. On an exhale, letting the legs go long, letting the arms go long at your side, finding a comfortable lying down position, coming to our final and most healing pose, Savasana. So letting all the muscles relax in the body. Just really sinking into your mat, taking a few breaths here to just be. Slowly breathe life back into the body. Maybe wiggle the fingers and the toes. On an inhale, lifting the right arm up overhead. Rolling onto the right side body, using the right bicep as a pillow. Taking this time to thank yourself for coming today and for taking some time out for you. Inhale, pushing through that left hand, coming up to an easy seat. Thank you for sticking through it, guys. Hope you enjoyed. On an exhale, namaste.